Hey everyone, welcome to Gear Facts. I've been using the Yamaha PSR-E383 for a couple of days now, and at first I was a little bit thrown by the new operating system that Yamaha has given us, but now that I've got a bit of experience, I can actually see where they were coming from. Once you get your head around this new system, you'll find that you can access features that used to be hidden in menus quite quickly and easily. So in this video, I'm going to show you how that basic system works, and also a few tricks and shortcuts that I've found. Firstly, and most importantly, if you have a look at the plus minus button here and the plus minus button there, it's easy to think that they just relate to these buttons alongside them, and that is partly true, but it makes more sense to equate the plus and minus buttons to the first and second line of the display. So what I mean is, up here, you can see it's changing the sound, and with the plus and minus buttons down here, we're changing the beat. There are lots of different screens and modes, and there will usually be an upper and lower line, and all the while, plus minus up here will change the upper line, plus minus down here will change the lower line. And once you've mastered that simple procedure, everything becomes quite clear and very quick, and that'll get you on the road to really getting the most out of your PSR-E383, because it does have quite a lot to offer for a simple home keyboard. Okay, so that's what's down here. There are changes up on the left-hand side as well. The bottom row is the transport controls. We're all quite familiar with that. Also unchanged from previous models, you've got the accompaniment on-off button. So if I play a beat with the accompaniment off, I could just play the keyboard right across the whole range of keys perfectly normally. But if I have accompaniment on, it'll give me the band accompaniment when I use that lower end of the keyboard. You can also start with an introduction by pressing intro, and when you're doing that you might want to activate synchro start as well, so that when you begin playing, the band begins with you. Eight-bar intro. And our song begins in the key of C. And I press it again to get an outro. The next line up is the lesson system. Now, there is too much in this for me to really go into a great deal of detail, but you switch it on with the left-hand button. You can activate three-step lesson, which is sort of similar to some of the lesson tools that have appeared on previous Yamaha keyboards. And then the last two buttons are for the left and right hand, so you can configure your lesson so that you're just looking at perhaps the bass line, or just the melody, or everything all together. And while we're up on this line, be aware of the shift key, because many buttons have a grey option underneath the main option, and you access those options by holding that shift key while pressing the button. For example, if I want to switch on the DSP, in other words, add an effect to this piano sound that I'm using, I could just switch the DSP on. In that particular case, it seems like it's adding a soft chorus kind of effect. Give it a bit more volume. But if I go Shift and press the DSP button, then I can select the DSP type. Now, remember I said we've got an upper line and a lower line. So at the top it's giving us the heading. The lower line is the list of things that we can choose from. So let's plus minus through that until we find something like cross delay, for example. So now we have a delay effect. The effects are really nice, incidentally. Let's try something a bit more extreme. Phaser is one I really like. Another effect is distorted wire. This will really change the sound. And the list goes on. I think there are about 40 effects. 41. Anyway, we'll leave it on this room reverb kind of sound. And let's say we wanted to try the arpeggiator. Well, first of all, you'd switch the arpeggiator on, and you'll notice that nothing actually happens. That's because by default it's actually in harmony mode, and harmony is a function that only works when you have an accompaniment going, your song is in full swing, and you're soloing up here, you will get a harmony track as well. But right now we want an arpeggio, so we hold down Shift, and again we have our heading and then our list of items to choose from. There are many, many arpeggios. I think it's pushing maybe 200 of them. Let's try this one. a pretty exciting tool to use because as your beat plays, it will always synchronize. Incidentally, I love combining the arpeggios and the DSP effects. It's an area where you can get really creative with this keyboard. The PSR-E383 is so much more than something simply to practice your piano at home. You can get creative, you can perform, you can really express yourself with it. Other functions up here include dual voice, which is where you can add an extra layer to the main voice. So now I've got strings as well as our piano. Hold down Shift and press dual, and you can choose what that voice is underneath the piano. Another thing I could do is split the keyboard. Holding down Shift, I get my second function here, which is choosing what bass sound I have at the bottom. So you can have two combinations of literally any of the sounds. You can even have the top sound in dual mode. There is so much that you can do, and there's more that I could show you here. Remember, I'm just giving you a basic introductory guide. Last thing I want to show you on this side though, and it's quite well known, the articulation button. Try it with every single sound that you use. Sometimes it's quite subtle. And sometimes if we go to certain sounds, the difference can be really pronounced. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So that's a pretty versatile backing vocal ensemble that you can use in a song. So as you're exploring all these other features, please don't forget to press the articulation button just to find out what the sound does. It can be a pretty fun adventure. The last thing I'll show you involves the bottom cluster of buttons here. Pressing each one of these will take you to the various different style types, but they can also act as 10 slots in which to save your favorite sounds. In fact, your entire favorite setups that you've created. So your sound, the beat that goes with it, everything that you've chosen for your performance can be saved into a button. So if I press registration memory here, it'll ask me which one I want to load. I'm just going to load the first sound that I made yesterday. Just a lively electric piano sound that I thought was pretty fun. That just about does it as far as a basic introduction goes, friends. There is a function key, as there has always been on Yamaha keyboards. It's up here, and that will give you all the functions in the keyboard in a nice simple sequence. So if you go plus minus, I know it's a little hard to see the screen there because the camera's further back, but you can simply run through all of the functions. That includes things like which effect you're choosing, what your layered voice is, 65 different menu items. So you don't have to use the shortcuts. You can just manually flick through to the option that you want if you find that simpler. As I look at the screen, there is one last little thing I want to show you. This is great. You can set the function of the pedal. I've got a pedal plugged in and we're going to change what it does. Let's just switch back to grand piano. If we use our lowest two plus minus buttons, because sustain is on the bottom line, we can choose what else our pedal function does. The next one is arpeggio hold, so if we switch on arpeggio, the pedal will now hold on to the arpeggio. Pretty simple. I can play a key, activate the arpeggio, and use my pedal to keep that arpeggio going, freeing up my hands to do other things. The next pedal option is sustain and arpeggio hold. This is pretty dramatic. So you can imagine with some of the brass sounds or the synthesizer sounds on the PSR-E383, that could actually have a really big effect. The next option for the pedal is voice articulation. So I'm sure you can see how that would be pretty useful. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you found that to be an interesting and perhaps enlightening little introduction to the PSR-E383. I'm sure we'll all be talking about this keyboard extensively in the coming months and possibly years. Big thanks to Thomas at Yamaha for lending me this keyboard so I could bring this information to you. And as always, from Gear Facts, see you on the next one.